All right, so we're diving into this podcast I found called Invest in Yourself. And
Oh, yeah, I heard about that one.
yeah,
What did you think?
I it's interesting because it's like it's not your typical finance podcast, you know?
Yeah.
It's not about, hot stock tips or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's more about like
Mindset.
yeah, exactly, like personal accountability and
Yeah, and like actually taking control of your money rather
yeah,
than, just
yeah.
letting it sit there or whatever.
That's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that really stuck out to me was
What was it?
they talk about Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have probably heard about it, but I'm curious to get your take on how it fits into this whole idea of investing in yourself.
Well, the quadrant basically breaks down the different ways people earn income.
Yeah.
Employees, self-employed business owners,
Yeah.
investors, and, you know, invest in yourself really focuses on that shift
Hmm.
from the employee mindset,
Yeah.
where you're trading your time for money,
Yeah.
to the investor mindset where...
Where your money's working for you.
Exactly.
Got it.
So how do you actually make that shift, though?
That's what I was thinking. It's like, yeah, okay, that sounds great in theory, but how do we actually,
How do you put it into practice?
then yeah, like what does that look like?
Well, that's where they get really practical,
Mm,
and I appreciate that about them.
okay.
They give concrete examples
Oh, okay.
like real estate,
Okay.
becoming a landlord, or maybe you want to flip houses, or
Yeah.
building a portfolio of dividend-paying stocks.
Yeah.
So these are all tangible ways to start generating passive income.
Okay.
And they encourage listeners to start thinking,
Yeah.
what is your path
Right.
to get there?
Like what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Leverage those. So it's not just like wishing and hoping for financial freedom.
Yeah.
It's actually like creating a roadmap.
That's a roadmap.
I like that.
You got to have a plan. Okay, so we've got the roadmap, we've got the mindset shift.
Right.
What about the psychology of investing?
Oh, that's huge. And that's where Brett Steenbarger's Trading Psychology 2.0 comes in.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Really good book.
What are some of the takeaways from that?
So Steenbarger really emphasizes, understanding your own patterns,
Okay.
your emotional patterns, and how they influence your decisions.
Like when I see the market dipping and I just want to sell everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Panic selling.
Even though, like, logically I know it's probably temporary.
We've all been there.
Yeah, but it's hard.
It is hard, but that's why recognizing those patterns is so important.
Okay, so how do we do that?
So he talks about the power of journaling your trades.
Journaling.
Yeah. Not just like the numbers, but
Yeah.
your feelings leading up to and after making that trade.
So it's like a trading diary.
Yeah, exactly like a diary.
Okay.
So by looking at your entries, you can start to identify those biases,
Mm-hmm.
your emotional triggers, and then from there, you can develop strategies
Okay.
to manage those emotions and make those rational decisions.
So instead of letting, like, fear and greed control my decisions, I can have, like,
A system.
a system in place.
He suggests building personalized checklists too,
Oh, interesting.
like a pilot's pre-flight checklist, but for trading.
I like that.
So you have this criteria
To guide you.
to guide you. Exactly.
Okay, so we're really starting to put it all together here.
Yeah.
We've got the mindset shift,
Right.
understanding the psychology behind trading,
Mm-hmm.
and I know they keep mentioning these, like, advanced option strategies.
Yeah.
Where do those fit in?
Well, they talk specifically about zero DTE options,
Mm-hmm.
which are options contracts
Mm-hmm.
that expire on the same day they're traded.
Whoa. Okay, so that's like,
You fast pace.
yeah, fast-paced,
Yeah.
high stakes.
High stakes.
That sounds intense.
It can be, but they don't shy away from that.
Okay.
They really emphasize that it can be a valuable tool
Yeah.
for generating consistent income.
But only if...
But only if you approach it with discipline and a solid understanding of how they work.
Yeah, because it sounds like there's a lot of risk involved there.
Absolutely.
It's like learning to drive a race car.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, you wouldn't just hop in and floor it.
No,
You'd want to, learn the rules of the road
exactly.
and the safety precautions.
And speaking of precautions,
Yeah.
they also talk a lot about risk management.
Okay, yeah, that's crucial.
They even reference Value at Risk
Oh, yeah.
by Philippe Jorion,
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
kind of a classic in the
Mhm.
field.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is how they take those like really sophisticated institutional concepts
Right.
and they make them practical for everyday investors.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I feel like risk management often gets overlooked,
Big time.
especially, in today's market where everything feels so volatile.
You need to manage that risk.
So how do they suggest doing that?
Well, they emphasize that understanding and managing risk is essential
Right.
for long-term success,
Okay.
no matter how much money you have. So they really encourage listeners to think like the pros, Analyze potential downsides
Yeah.
and implement strategies to mitigate losses.
So it's not just about when things are going well. It's about,
What happens if
what happens if?
market takes a dip,
What's plan B?
right? Like an emergency fund, but for your investments.
Yeah, I like that.
They even discuss how traders used risk management strategies to not only survive, but thrive
Wow.
during the 2020 crash.
Okay.
Things like protective puts, which are basically insurance for your portfolio.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it's not just about surviving a crash.
No.
It's about potentially using it to your advantage.
Yeah, you could capitalize on those opportunities
If you have a plan.
if you have a plan.
Okay, so we've got the mindset shift.
Right.
We've got the psychology of trading.
Yep.
The importance of risk management.
Uh-huh.
What else is in store for the invest in yourself listener?
Oh, they also hint at a deep dive into the wheel strategy, which is
Oh.
another popular options trading technique. And it can be used to generate income consistently.
I'll have to look into that.
And then they touch on the fascinating journey of Sam Altman, the tech investor.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they kind of pose this question,
Yeah.
like, how can we learn from him and his unconventional approach
Right.
to investing?
Okay, so we've got a lot going on here.
Yeah.
A lot of information. How do they tie it all together?
Well, they constantly circle back to this idea of personal accountability.
Hmm.
It's not about following someone else's blueprint
Right.
or chasing those quick profits.
Yeah.
It's about taking ownership and understanding that your success is ultimately in your hands.
I love that it's like they're giving you a pep talk
Yeah.
and a financial education at the same time.
It's both.
It's a good combo.
Right.
So it's really about taking action,
Absolutely.
not just absorbing information.
You do something.
And they actually issue a specific challenge, right?
They
Next
do.
listeners.
Identify one area where you're avoiding responsibility and take a small step
To address it.
to address it.
Okay, so it could be as simple as like finally opening that retirement account.
That's a good one.
Or learning about a new investing strategy.
Yeah. Anything that moves you forward.
Okay, so they really are trying to empower listeners to take that information
Uh-huh.
and use it.
Put it into practice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where the rubber meets the road.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here
We have.
in this first part of our deep dive into invest in yourself. What's resonating with you the most so far?
You know what really stands out to me is just how much they emphasize the mental game
Okay.
of investing.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in, the technical stuff,
The numbers.
the numbers, the strategies.
Yeah.
But invest in yourself constantly reminds us that our emotions and biases
Mhm.
play a huge role
Yeah.
in our decision making.
It's all connected.
It is.
Yeah.
And mastering that mindset
Mm-hmm.
is just as important as mastering the markets themselves.
I like that.
Yeah. That's a good takeaway.
Mm-hmm. All right. So,
Okay.
so it's fascinating how they weave in these like unconventional sources of inspiration, like Sam Altman.
Yeah. You mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Like, what are they trying to get across with using someone like him as an example?
I don't think it's about becoming a tech investor
Right.
or copying his every move. It's more about like extracting those valuable lessons
Okay.
from someone who's known for, taking risks,
Right.
making bold moves, disrupting the status quo.
So it's about like analyzing his decision making.
Yeah, like what made him successful
Okay.
and how can I apply those same principles to my own?
Gotcha. So it's more about like identifying those underlying patterns.
The patterns of thinking that
Yeah.
drive successful investors.
And you can apply that across different industries.
Exactly. You don't have to be in tech
Right.
to learn from Altman's approach to, risk-taking and innovation.
It's about those transferable skills.
Transferable skills and mindsets.
Thinking outside the box. Yeah. And speaking of thinking outside the box, invest in yourself doesn't shy away from like
What's that?
the elephant in the room.
Uh-oh.
Market crashes.
Oh, yeah. Nobody wants to talk about that.
Oh, they do. They actually dedicate a good chunk of the podcast to talking about
Interesting.
high pressure trading situations
Yeah.
and how to navigate, those turbulent waters
Because it's one thing to learn about all these strategies.
in theory.
Yeah, in a textbook.
Right.
But it's a whole other ballgame when you're actually in it.
Yeah. When the market's tanky and
Yeah, your emotions are running high.
you just want to like
Sell every.
sell everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where having a plan is so crucial.
So they talk about that.
They stress having a plan, like a set of rules
Okay.
that you stick to,
Even when you're freaking out.
even when you want to just like run for the hills.
Yeah.
And they actually share stories of how seasoned traders navigated that 2020 crash.
Oh, wow.
using things like protective puts.
Yeah, you mentioned those before.
But it's basically insurance for your portfolio.
Okay, so you're protecting yourself.
You're protecting yourself
On the downside.
to mitigate your losses.
So it's not even just about surviving a crash.
No,
It's about potentially using it
to your advantage.
to come out ahead.
Yeah, they talk about how some traders were able to actually capitalize on those discounted equities
Because they had a plan.
because they had a plan.
Wow.
They stuck to their risk management principles.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
So they're really equipping listeners with the tools.
To handle those high-stress moments.
Yeah, because we all know those are going to come
They will come.
at some point.
Inevitably.
And that brings us back to personal accountability.
It all comes back to that.
Yeah.
You know, they really hammer home this point that blaming external factors or making impulsive decisions is just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. You're not in control.
You're giving away your power.
Okay.
So they encourage listeners to take ownership and view every experience, whether it's positive or negative,
Okay.
as a learning opportunity.
So it's about building resilience,
Resilience.
not just financially, but
Emotionally.
yeah, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
Okay. They've given us a lot to think about.
A lot to chew on.
They've got the mindset, the psychology, risk management. They want us to take action.
Do something.
Yeah, remember that challenge?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Find one area where you're avoiding responsibility
Yeah, where are you dropping the ball?
and do something about it,
Even a small step,
even if it's small.
just to get that momentum going.
Okay, so as we're getting towards the end of our deep dive here
Yeah.
into invest of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the things that have really stood out to you the most?
You know, honestly, what I appreciate the most is just how practical it is.
Okay.
It's not just some abstract,
Theory.
theoretical stuff. They give you concrete examples,
Right.
specific tools, actionable strategy.
The toolkit.
A toolkit, exactly. And they're encouraging you to use it.
Yeah, don't just let it sit there gathering dust.
Right. You gotta put it to work.
Yeah.
It's not just about acquiring the knowledge. It's about transforming that knowledge into tangible results.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
This has been a really insightful exploration.
It has.
If you had to distill the essence of invest in yourself
Okay.
into one sentence,
Ooh, that's a tough one.
what would it be?
I'd say take ownership of your financial future by embracing personal accountability, continuous learning, and a relentless focus on action.
Wow, that's good.
I think that sums it up.
Yeah, it really captures the spirit of what they're trying to convey.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
It reminds us that we have more control over our financial destinies
Than we realize.
than we often realize. Yeah.
So what are some things they suggest for that continuous learning piece?
Like, what are some practical steps we could take?
They make a good point about continuous learning, especially with finance. I mean, everything changes so fast.
Yeah, it's not something you can just learn once and you're good to go.
Right. It's not like riding a bike, you know?
Exactly. They
Yeah.
really stress that staying curious and informed is so important.
So we have to adapt as the market changes, refine our strategies.
Always be learning new things.
So it's not just about finding one strategy that works and then just doing that over and over again.
No, they actually even suggest going back and revisiting concepts that you think you already understand.
Okay.
Because there's always something new to learn or a different way to look at it.
So always questioning our assumptions.
Yeah, and being open to new perspectives.
I like that. But, we're all busy people.
Right.
How do we actually incorporate this continuous learning into our lives?
Well, they give us practical tips like setting aside time each week to read industry publications.
Oh, okay. So making it part of your routine.
Yeah, make it a habit just like you would with working out or anything else important.
So you're saying even if it's just 30 minutes a day
Even 15 minutes.
to read an article or listen to a podcast.
Just something to keep you engaged and learning.
This is making me think that investing is about so much more than just, the technical stuff.
Absolutely.
It's about personal growth, too.
It is.
It's about expanding your horizons.
It's about becoming a more well-rounded person,
Yeah.
honing your critical thinking skills,
Yeah.
learning how to navigate complexity,
So it's invest in yourself is almost acting as a guide.
like a mentor.
Yeah, a mentor to help you develop these skills.
Yeah. And the cool thing is that it doesn't matter if you're just starting out
Right?
or if you've been doing this for years.
Anyone can benefit.
Anyone can benefit from these principles.
It's about empowering people to take control.
To be in the driver's seat.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've done a pretty good job of unpacking all these ideas from invest in yourself.
You've covered a lot of ground.
We've talked about personal accountability, the importance of managing our emotions,
Mm-hmm.
those specific trading strategies, and how to learn continuously,
We even touched on risk management.
and finding inspiration in unexpected places.
Yeah, like Sam Altman.
But before we wrap up, is there anything else that you think our listeners should be thinking about?
I think it's good to leave them with a question,
Oh.
something to ponder. So here it is, dear listener. If you truly embraced this philosophy of invest in yourself, what's the one bold move you would make to really transform your financial future?
What would you do differently?
What action could you take today?
To start building that life that you envision.
It could be setting up a budget, finally.
Or taking a course on options trading.
Whatever it is, the key is to move from thinking to doing.
Like action.
That's where the magic happens.
I love that. Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree.
If you're looking for a podcast that will really make you think differently about your finances.
And empower you.
To take control.
Take control. I highly recommend checking out Invest in Yourself.
It's a great one.
You won't regret it.
Remember, the journey to financial freedom starts with a single step.
Take that step today. Until next time, keep learning
Keep growing.
and keep investing in yourself.